and this is Spot Dodge, a live Nintendo podcast. And yes, this is probably, I can assume, the very last Nintendo enthusiast live stream ever, which is pretty sad to say. I'm going to hold in my sadness and my feelings because in the coming days, I'm going to make a goodbye video. This channel and this brand is leaving. It's gone now, which is sad. But the good news, there is good news. This show is moving to Destructoid, the YouTube channel over there, maybe even the Twitch channel as well. And I'm going to go ahead and post that in the comments right now for anyone who's here already. I'm posting the link in the live chat. Go subscribe to Destructoid because we will be live every Tuesday night with this exact show, this exact formula, this exact cast. There might be some more guests now that the show has a future. I'm going to bring on a lot of people, hopefully some developers, other YouTubers, that kind of thing. And hopefully it's going to be a long, fun, awesome show. And like I said, I'm going to be doing a goodbye video in the future. I'm trying not to get emotional right now, but let's just do this. I'm here today with Brett Larson, a friend of mine. He's helped out on the channel, and this is his last appearance on the channel as well, which is kind of cool that we get to share a last stream together. Brett, how you doing?
I'm good, man. It's bittersweet. Of course, the bitter is the fact that Nintendo Enthusiast is no more. The sweet is that this show still has a home and it's expanding and could end up being even better. So I'm honored to be here with you guys, and especially for the last show before it's done.
Yep. And then the other host on the panel, John Frisha, writer, editor, senior editor over at NintendoEnthusiast.com. Now he's continuing his work at Escapist, doing all the editing and posting a lot of articles and reviews over there. So John's still alive and active, and he is doing great. Right, John?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Yeah, I've been managing editor at Escapist for, honestly, I don't even remember how long now. Like I've been there quite a while now. It's just I've been kind of a quiet partner, so to speak, to date, and now I'm starting to take a more active role there. So if you like the things I've written, hopefully you'll like the things I write over there too, because they're basically the same.
Yeah.
and if they don't like the things you've written, they're going to get more of it anyway.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw your post earlier in the chat where you're like, the Escapist already has tons of like weeb stuff on the site, like compared to normal.
Yes. If you like Nintendo news, if you like JRPG stuff, come to the Escapist, because I'm personally totally ramping up our coverage of both, in addition to everything else that we already cover, which is a lot.
Definitely. And one last thing, shout out, is I am fully transitioned over at Destructoid. I'm running the video stuff over there. We just recently launched a show on Snapchat called The Destructoid Show, and I don't have the link for that. I'll be sure to post that in the description after the stream because I forgot all about it. But yeah, I'm hosting a show over there. I'm writing it. It's a scripted comedy video game news series. That was a long thing. And that's going pretty well. And I'm happy that we started that, and we're moving this podcast over to Destructoid. And that's pretty much it, guys, right? For the housekeeping. You guys ready to jump into what we're playing?
Yeah.
Ready.
Okay, well, the first thing we're all playing is not Nintendo related, go figure. But we've all recently hopped into the biggest AAA game on the block right now, Horizon Forbidden West. Brett, first thoughts. What do you think?
Well, first of all, normally you throw this to Greg.
I know.
First, so
like,
this is already getting up to an awkward step.
Well, according to our stream, there's an error right now. You are Greg.
Oh, there we go. Greg is in the building.
Well, then let me grab a couple socks and pretend like I have a beard, and I'll just say I'm
socks.
I've been playing something
Santa Claus
beard that looks like. And I'll just say I've been playing Apex Legends, and it's been great. I played a couple hours of Apex last night. It was fantastic. So it's no secret I'm a big PlayStation fan. Like I'm an agnostic gamer. I love all consoles, but I have been a big PlayStation fan for a very long time. Like PlayStation 1 was like what really made me the gamer that I am today. And so whenever there's a big release for them, I tend to get a little bit excited about it. And Not that I don't about other consoles, but I've been really excited about this one for a long time. Um, and it hasn't disappointed at all. I don't know how much you guys, I know Brett's played not too much less than I have. I actually haven't played as much as I would have liked to. So far anyways, but just my schedule, I can only play at nights right now. And then all of a sudden it's 12:30 in, and I have to go to bed and I've only played a couple hours that night. So I'm definitely, my weekend is coming up. My days off are Thursday, Friday. So I'm probably going to like be really irresponsible and play till like 4 a.m. tomorrow and knock a whole bunch of it out. I don't know how much you played, John, but I'm loving it, man. Like it's doing everything I would hope it would do. Like one of the things that are really underrated about this game are the dual sense features. Like everyone talks about the graphics, they're beautiful, the character models are great, like the voice acting's top notch. And I know Brett doesn't care much for the dual sense, but like I'm a big fan of the dual sense, and
Yeah, I love
it
that
does
controller.
it's amazing. Like, and it's amazing when it's done right. And
Yeah.
Horizon does it right. Like I feel like we're just over a year and a few months into the PS5 life cycle. And I feel like a few games have kind of experimented with it. Some of them got it right. Some of them have just like, I feel like they just kind of forced some of the haptic feedback stuff and the adaptive trigger stuff into it just to say that they used it. But Horizon does it so well. And that's one of the things that like none of the reviewers talk about it. None of like the videos and none of the articles I've read have talked about this, but it's incredible what they've done with the DualSense. And like just one of the things I experienced last night, one of the cool things is how subtle they are. Like you'll feel footsteps from a charger as it's running past you, just very subtly in your controller.
Oh.
It's not like it beats you over the head with it. But one of the cool things that I experienced last night wasn't that. I went up to a fire, and it was the fire when you do the fast travel. And so I hit the triangle to do the fast travel, and then the fire started. When the fire started, you felt just a little tiny bit of a rumble in the controller. And when I turned right, the vibration went to the left side of the controller. And I was like, there's no way that's on purpose. So I turned the other way and I turned left, and all of a sudden the vibration was on the right side of the controller. And I was like, that is freaking so cool. Like that's really cool. One of the more like unique things I've ever seen. Period in gaming. Like that's they put so much love and care into that part of the game. I just love it. Like the very beginning too, like the opening cutscene. The opening cutscene is when I knew like it was going to be special. Like the very beginning, I don't know if you guys remember, there's a stampede, and then there's a couple tall necks that are like walking through the stampede. And the stampede, you just feel like a whole bunch of like on the controller. And then the tall neck comes in the scene, and you just feel like a thud. And it's just so cool. It's little things like that are just so much attention to detail. And I mean, I've been talking for 5 minutes just about the controller.
So I'm gonna go throw to John.
I probably got a lot to say about this game, but it's awesome. I'm loving it, and I don't know. I can't. There's not enough good I can say about it so far.
Well, not to derail the conversation, but just to put like a capstone on the DualSense. Yeah, I love that controller. And when I got the PS5, the pack-in game was what's it called?
Astros.
Not Astro, but
Astros.
Okay, thank you.
Astros
Yeah,
Playroom.
that thing is like the most like spectacular pack-in thing. Like with the controller, like you feel everything in that controller. And I was hyping it to my best friend for like months. Like when you finally get a PS5, like you gotta play that right away. Don't ignore it. Like it's amazing what the controller does. And he finally plays it, and then he never mentions it to me again. And I asked him like, so what you think of like the controller feedback and all that? And he's like, oh, I didn't really notice it. It's like,
what? that's like the whole purpose of Astro's Playroom. It's literally a tech demo.
Like I couldn't fathom. Like, what do you mean you didn't detect it? Like,
didn't
what?
notice it. Like the raindrops on the thing. Like they feel amazing.
Yeah,
the first
everything. Like you can't play it for 5 seconds without noticing the controller.
Yeah.
But he did.
Yeah, I'll say for me, Astro's Playroom, I think that's what it's called, right? It's Astro something.
Astro's Playroom, yeah.
Yeah, that was the only game where I really was like, oh man, this controller is amazing. And then ever since then, I have not thought that it's been implemented very well. And I actually shut off the haptic feedback triggers like 3
Oh
months into
wow.
the
John, please,
PS5,
No.
and
Yeah, I would never do that.
I haven't turned them on ever since because they never feel good to me. Like, so with
oh
Horizon, I
man.
don't even know what it's doing with the triggers, but
We need to set up an intervention for Brett. John, I've needed
Yeah.
help with this for months. No one knows this
I
but me.
just
It makes
don't
me
see what the
crazy.
big deal is
He
about.
turned those
Wow.
features off.
Yeah,
I
no, it's
just
so
don't like.
satisfying when you feel that click in the
Oh my
trigger at
god,
the
it's
end.
amazing. Yes.
No, it's no GameCube trigger. Come on, which
Yeah, all
does a
right.
similar thing.
Yeah,
But
GameCube was pretty sweet like that.
yeah, but for Horizon, all right, I'll give my thoughts a little bit. So for context, Horizon Zero Dawn's like probably like my favorite PS4 game. Like
Mm,
I absolutely loved it. Just being introduced to the world, the character of Aloy, the graphics, the art style, everything I loved about that game. And then the story, I did not think disappointed at all. It was actually
mm.
it ended on a really high note for me. And with this one thing I immediately noticed was that wow, that mystery factor is completely gone now because I know this
Yes.
world now. So I'm playing this world again, and it's not as impactful. Like I don't feel like this sense of mystery like around every corner like I did with the first game. So that was immediately like one thing. It's like okay, that's sort of a bummer.
Hmm.
And then otherwise, I honestly think I'm just getting a little bit tired of like the open world formula of games, like with the side quests and the unnecessarily open sections that don't need to be as big as they are. This game isn't that bad in terms of that, but with the side quests, like in this town at the very beginning, they give you a bunch of characters you can go walk and talk to, and they all like, hey, I need help with this, and I'm just like, okay, but like none of this is very important or cool. Like, why would I even do this? Like, why would Aloy even do this? Like, nothing is. And she's Brett. Let's get into it. She's trying to save the world. Me and Brett talked about this.
We talked
She's
about this yesterday.
she's trying to save the world, and this happens in so many games, especially open world
Yeah.
games, where
Yeah.
like it sets it up, and you're supposed to have this sense of urgency. Like if you don't do this, everyone dies. Like that's
Mhm.
it, and you're like doing some random side quest, like picking berries for a lady trying to bake a pie or something, while the world hangs in the balance. Like what is going to happen? And you're just doing this random stuff, and I just do not think it matches. Like I just wish the side quests. First off, I wish the stories were more interesting, but I really wish like they didn't feel kind of pointless whenever like the main story is so much more important. You know what I mean?
Mm.
So, first of all, for like the intrigue, like the awe and like the mystery factor, that hasn't been there yet. I keep thinking because I haven't played that much yet either. I keep thinking that because I don't want to spoil what I've seen so far, but I keep thinking that once you go to this forbidden area of the map or the world, that it's going to open up like a whole new like a whole new world of mysteries and a whole like that
Mhm.
awe factor is going to come back because you're going to go to this area that's not familiar with the first game. And I think that a little bit of that awe factor and that mystery is going to come back that made the first one special. But as far as like the open world stuff that you were just talking about, I think that is a problem with so many open world games these days. And I love open world games. Like I played Assassin's Creed Valhalla for way too long and beat it and still like kind of to a certain degree never got tired of it. So but not everyone is like me. A lot of people are get really tired after like 30 or 40 hours of just doing side stuff and building up character and things like that. And it definitely depends on the open world game. But back to what Brett was saying, like a lot of these side missions just don't make any sense with the story and the world of the game. Like he said, the world is possibly dying and she has to go to this area to save the world. And while she's on her way there, a person on the path on the way there stops her. And this is just me making this up off the top of my head, but these are the kind of things that happen, right? Like someone will stop her and be like, "Hey, I need 3 screws to make a shield," or something like that. Would you go up the mountain and find these 3 screws for me? Like, if this is, I try and put that in perspective in real life. If like if I'm tasked with this idea of saving the world or my family is going to die, And on my trek to where I have to go to save the world, someone stops me and says, "Hey, will you pick 3 strawberries up in that mountain so I can make a pie?"
You have to climb to the very top.
You know,
Yeah.
like it's just so dumb, and it's so painfully obvious that these developers are putting in certain side missions just to give it a little bit of fluff, just to say that, you know, this game is 80 hours, because for some reason they think that the more hours in a game, it's a better game, when that's not the case at all. So yeah, there's been a couple side missions where it's just like head scratching, like, you know, but again, I think a lot of open world games are guilty of that now.
Yeah, I mean, especially like we brought up first off, three that come to mind: Fallout 3 and 4. The first game, you get out of the vault, you're looking for your dad, and you would think that the main character would be in a hurry to find him, but then you do a bunch of stuff on the way that has no connection to that at all. And then Fallout 4, even worse, your son is missing, and you're still taking your sweet time. Like you're just doing you're like building a settlement while your son's life is a mystery. And then Cyberpunk 2077, the main character, his whole thing is that he's dying. Like he's literally dying.
Yeah.
And he's trying to save himself.
He's taking time to like make relationships. He's taking time to like make relationships with random people that he meets along the way. Like, no, you're dying, dude. You have to find.
Yeah.
NBD.
So, but aside from the story stuff, in terms of the combat, at first I was like, is this not good? Like, I was confused because I was thinking I really liked Horizon's combat, didn't I? And then once I really started to get the hang of it, I started realizing, okay, I'm playing it wrong. I was doing more melee than arrows. I should be doing more arrows and only doing melee whenever it counts, like when you can get like a strong attack in and knock it over and then do that final strike. So the gameplay is getting more fun. I'm starting to unlock more stuff, which ultimately makes it more fun. But I also noticed that while the story side stuff I think is pretty lame, I do like at least lame so far. Maybe some stuff's really good, but the exploration stuff is really solid. Like when you find like an old tomb or something, you go inside of it, and then like there's puzzles in there, and you're trying to figure those out with the little pulley thing, which I also wasn't like super excited about. Like when I first was like, okay, they have a pulley system. That's what's new in the game.
Yeah. Right.
But it does kind of make you feel more like an explorer when you're utilizing it like to solve puzzles and get some type of collectible or something. So yeah, it grew on me, but the exploration stuff is really good so far.
Yeah,
okay.
There's a moment last night, and then I'll let you. I'll.
Yeah, John needs to get some of his stuff.
Yeah, me and Brett have just probably mainly me.
It's all good. It's
so
all good.
so there's a moment last night that I thought was really cool, and I've had several of these moments. But as far as like the exploration, like maybe the mystery isn't there from the first game, that like you're uncovering this amazing story and like this mystery of like who she is and all that kind of stuff. But it's little things like this. Like I dove into this lake, and the further you go down, you see like a stop sign and a car that's been like sunken down into this lake, and like little things like that. So it just reminds you that this used to be a world that was like ours. You know what I mean? And now there's like street signs and cars that are sunken down into this lake because it's been how many hundreds of years? I can't even remember how long.
I think it's been at least 1,000 years.
Yeah, I think
1,000 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So seeing things like that are really, really cool in this game.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Spill it, John.
So, all right. So to provide a little bit of context, I played the original Horizon when Sony just gave it away for free. And I give them like all the props in the world for that, because I always felt that was a game I would probably enjoy, but I wasn't willing to spend any money to find out. and when they gave it away for free and I finally played it, because I spent no money on it, I didn't feel like I got to do all the side quests. Like I got to make sure I do everything. I got to get my money's worth here. Like I just like dicked around and did whatever I wanted. And like I ended up like really, really loving the experience. And I've never thought about if it's my favorite PlayStation 4 game necessarily, but I would imagine it is one of my favorites. Like I would score it like 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
I hate the climbing, and I hate the climbing in the new one too. Like climbing is the most boring thing in the universe to me. Like I don't know why you want to put that in a video game. It's like walking but less convenient. And they want to call that a gameplay mechanic. Like
yeah, I think
okay.
Yeah, just go ahead.
Yeah. But you know, that nitpick aside, like I ended up loving the story in the first game. I thought it was really imaginative. Like the whole time I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, I was like, all right, how are they going to explain that? Like, you basically have like the Native Americans versus robot dinosaurs. Like, how are you going to explain that? And they actually
Yeah.
did. It was like,
Mhm.
again, we're not giving it away just in case for anyone who's listening, but
Yeah.
like, it was a really cool idea, I thought. Like, obviously, like, it requires some stretches in imagination, but of course it does. And like, with that in mind, I just, like, I loved it. Like, it was a really cool idea. And so, to getting back to what you said, Brett Medlock, literally, like the instant this game starts, one of the major characters from the first game recaps everything that happened in the first game. Like in like 15 seconds, boom, the biggest plot revelation of the first game just like thrown in your face. And it's like, oh yeah, and so like you
Yeah.
do immediately feel like, okay, yeah, I feel like I vaguely am in control of this situation. I understand what's going on. But you're right. The mystery is lacking. Like there's still mystery in the sense of like, well, what's out there? And yeah, I mean that
Mhm.
is a good
Right, the
mystery. Like
exploration. Sure.
yeah, and like with again, I don't know what we want to call them without getting into spoilers, but like the other like deities, so to speak. You guys know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like yeah, like we don't know who's out there or where they are, so like those are cool things, and I am looking forward to getting into all that. um but as far as the actual gameplay goes, like I feel like the beginning of the game has been too slow in like introducing the new stuff. So like for reference, where I kind of got bored and just put the game on pause, like I haven't even gotten the glider yet. I don't know when you get the glider, but I haven't gotten it
Okay.
yet.
Okay.
So
I
I
haven't
think
either.
I Oh, okay. Really? All right.
Yeah.
I think I've put in, I don't know, I've put in like at least 3 hours, like probably no more than 5 hours. I, I, okay, like the very last thing I did, I think was I met Mohawk guy again, which has to
Aaron.
be really early. Yeah.
Aaron,
So,
yeah. Yeah,
yeah,
you're pretty early.
yeah, yeah. So like I got fatigued really fast because I felt like I was doing the exact same thing all over again. And
Yeah.
the weird thing is like I really really liked the first game. I guess I just don't want to do that exact thing for like another
30
50
hours.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost
So
it's almost like the beginning of this game is like trying to catch you or like get you back in the groove of the mechanics of the first one because
yeah,
it
Too long though. It
definitely
takes too long.
yeah, agreed,
yeah,
agreed. I think the opening of this game does take a little bit before you're like, okay, now things are moving, now things are rolling, the story is moving forward and
yeah,
getting interesting. And like Brett said, I'm having fun with the gameplay now, whereas before it was kind of like I just felt like it was like an extension of the first one. Now there really are differences in gameplay because of doing like upgrades. There's a system called a Valor system, and like the skill tree is pretty complex. There's like 5 or 6 different skill
yeah.
trees you can upgrade. So it definitely is going to be a much different than the opening hours in terms of
Yeah.
gameplay.
Yeah, I'm totally optimistic that it's gonna get like whole magnitudes of like enjoyment level better from where I'm
Yeah.
at. Because where I've played so far, the game basically like in terms of like environments, it basically looks like the first game. And like I know from all the trailers that things are gonna get like really exotic, and I haven't seen
Yeah.
any of that yet. So
Yeah, yeah, for
I'm
sure.
optimistic about that. But oh to put the perfect capstone on my frustration with the early hours of this game. So did you guys I don't know what they call it. Like it's like the very first area where it's like in
I
what do they
think it's
call it?
the
Like
dogs.
ruins. No, there's like these ruins, like these optional. It's just like this old rundown like building, but you can go
Yeah.
inside it to get a collectible.
Oh
Like
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I
like
remember that.
the very first one you go to, which is the only one I've seen, you can see that there's like some special item you can collect,
You
but
can't get to it.
yeah, and I hated that though because you can physically see it. There's
Yeah.
these huge holes. Aloy should be able to just casually crawl in,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
and,
agreed,
true.
and
agreed.
and
I know
instead
what you're
you have
talking
to
about.
yeah, instead you have to do like 20 minutes of like staring at the environment and like figuring out what to lasso in order to just like get through
Bless.
the other side of this room. It's like
I almost felt like that was annoying in the beginning on purpose to try and teach you how to use all of her like some of the newer mechanics. Like Brett said, he had a moment early in the game where he's like, I can see something she can jump to, but she won't jump to it, and she wouldn't until like you held down R3 and she did like the scan
The
of the
focus
entire room, and
thing.
then she goes,
Mm,
yeah, the focus, and then she goes, oh, there's there's something I can jump up to, and then it allowed her to jump. Like that doesn't happen again later in the game. It only happened early because it's almost like it was like a training, like a tutorial in the beginning, teaching you like what kind of things to look for in every room, that kind of stuff. But I know what you mean. Yeah, that's annoying.
yeah.
Yeah, as much as we could probably easily keep talking about Horizon, we should probably mix it up a little bit. So it's almost half the show. I did want to say that Rick in the comments said would have loved more time to be able to spend with you guys. Thanks so much for all the hard work. I appreciate the work everybody has done.
Can I just say
Thank you so much.
one thing real quick, and it'll be fast about Horizon.
First off, thanks,
This
Rick.
stuff
Thank you.
Yeah,
yeah, thanks,
thank you,
Rick.
Rick.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I didn't mean to just like breeze over that. I just didn't want Brett to change subjects. Yeah, I don't know, and this is a negative, and you know it must be bad if I'm talking bad about this game. Have you guys
Sure.
noticed anything with her hair being weird? Like her
Yeah,
hair
it
just like
goes
randomly
nuts.
like moves around sometimes.
It goes
Like
nuts. They
there's a
didn't have to
moment
go that
last night.
hard.
Yeah, I feel like they tried too hard to make it look like all waving and stuff. Like there was a moment last night when she sat down on a bench and she leaned forward and her hair all went forward and just started like moving like this, like a bunch of snakes. And she was just sitting still. She wasn't even moving, but her hair was like wigging out. And I was like, okay, calm down. Like,
And you have to assume that like a lock of that hair, because they're like big locks of hair, like they're
Yeah.
pretty heavy. They wouldn't just float around like crazy.
yeah.
Like it has to be
Or
pretty strong gust of wind for them to be flying everywhere the way they do.
yeah. Or sometimes there'll be the bow on her back and it will just like, it's like it's invisible. It will just like move through the bow instead of like the natural wave, like laying on top of it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, little nitpicky things, but I noticed that this is kind of bugged me a little bit.
Yeah,
But
for
anyways.
sure. I also did want to say for anyone who's just now joining, Spot Dodge is moving to Destructoid, the YouTube channel, next week. So be sure to go check out Destructoid. It's in the live comments. I posted the link. Go subscribe and yeah, keep on hanging out. And the podcast feed will stay the same, the audio version. So it'll be on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and everything will resume as normal with this show. So you're not losing us completely, Rick, in the comments. Um,
Just have a new
But,
home.
Yeah, just found a new home. But yeah, so let's talk about this Nintendo stuff. A lot of people are upset with Nintendo because I think it was during an earnings call or something like that. Well, they put out a bunch of information. I can't remember what, but they told like a bunch of things. And one of those things was they are shutting down the Wii U and 3DS eShop. It's going to be sort of a slow shutdown. They're shutting down the ability to purchase things with a credit card, and then they're shutting down the ability to purchase things completely like 8 months later. And Sony
It
right
starts
now,
August, and then like the final is March 2023.
yeah. So Sony right now is already doing part one of what Nintendo's plan is to do. Whereas on PS3 and Vita, you can buy things still, but you have to add the money to your account through either the PC or PS4 or PS5. So that's fine. Like to me, well. First off, I'm glad they're giving us this much of a heads up because that's really appreciative for all the stuff I want to buy. That being said, Nintendo could afford to keep this up, guys. I mean, this isn't
Right?
I don't understand like why they're getting rid of this. Like so many games that are eShop exclusive on 3DS and Wii U are going to be completely gone off the market. The only way to play them would be to play them illegally, and that kind of sucks. And it's funny because just last week I was talking about like they're never gonna announce Xenoblade Chronicles X for Switch, so I guess I'm gonna buy it on Wii U. And then like the next day, they announced the Wii U eShop is shutting down. So I'm definitely buying that before it shuts down.
Good call.
And I personally just think this sucks. Like this sucks. So
Yeah.
much art is disappearing, and there's so many Nintendo games disappearing that you can't even buy right now on Switch or on any platform, like any modern piece of hardware. So many Nintendo games that are on 3DS and Wii U are just going bye-bye forever until they bring them back inevitably, either through Nintendo Switch Online or some type of remaster on Switch. And that sucks because that's not reliable in any way. Like, what the hell are we going to get? We have no idea.
Yeah.
We haven't even gotten Metroid Prime Trilogy that we've been talking about for like 4 freaking years.
Right? We don't even have Game
so-
Boy games on Switch.
Yeah, we don't have Game Boy games. Like, what the? Come on. We have Sega games, but not Game Boy games.
Right?
It just doesn't
Yeah,
make sense, dude.
I I'm kind of in a very strange and unexpected position on this one. So usually like I'm like
I lost you
extremely
guys.
hardcore. Oh, well, we
Good.
hear you, Brett.
Yeah, Brett, we can hear you.
Yeah, you okay.
Yeah,
You
there
look
he
good
is.
to us. Yeah.
I don't
Wait,
think he
what?
can hear us.
Can you hear us,
Okay,
Brett
Brett?
okay.
can't hear us.
You guys all froze. I didn't know if it was me or both you guys.
Okay. All right, we're all back together.
Yeah.
We'll move on. Uh,
John, what were you
anyway,
saying?
yeah, so I have a very unusual perspective on this one. Usually I'm like very, very big on games preservation, and I mean I still am. I still am. Years ago at Nintendo Enthusiast, I wrote like this impassioned article calling for the return of Virtual Console. I could also just say I was complaining that we don't have Virtual Console because that's also accurate. But like
Yeah.
it's bottom line is we need these old video games to continue existing in some form. If not for like people's enjoyment, then at least as like a cultural artifact, so to speak. Like a movie like Citizen Kane, even if you don't care about Citizen Kane, like it's never going to go out of print. Like it's always going to be there. You're always going to be able to see it in some form. And with video games, it's just like there's never been preservation on that same scale. Like some things go out of print in TV and movies, that happens, but big things stay forever, and that's just not the case here. There are genuinely big games that you can't buy legally anymore from the people that made these things. Um, Now, all of that being said, when it comes to at least the Wii U closure, there's so many people that are completely outraged that the Wii U eShop is going away, and to that, I say BS. Nobody bought Wii U. Do you really care? Do you own a Wii U in the first place, or are you complaining just to complain? Because like, if you
Yeah.
didn't own a Wii U and statistically you didn't, what is this to you? This is absolutely nothing to you. Like, you
Hang
can
on, hang on.
complain on principle, but this does not affect you at all.
Side note, Eric, you're playing this in real time, right? Is this a massive glitch in Pokemon?
Yeah, what's going on in that? I just know.
Holy crap. It's going nuts. Okay, anyway, John, I'm sorry. I just had to mention that. It's going insane.
Well, that's cool. Uh, So yeah, like the Wii U eShop, as a Wii U owner, yes, I think it sucks that it's going away. But I think the outrage from other people that don't probably own Wii U, like I just like it
Exactly.
it annoys me. With the 3DS, obviously that was a much more successful machine than the Wii U. And yeah, then there's a much more justification for people to be sad and upset that that's going away. Um, and I say all of this with the understanding that somewhere some pirate has, I'm sure, already backed up most, if not all,
Yeah.
of the eShop library. So like
Yeah.
we're losing things in the legal sense. We're not
Right.
actually losing things in the grand scheme of things. Like
Yeah.
pirates got us covered.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks because sooner or later I want to buy a super powerful PC just to
Mm.
play all the games that are going to be disappearing off of PS3, Wii U, Xbox 360, and that's just kind of sad that like so many games are just being lost pretty much forever in a legal sense. So
Yeah.
that's unfortunate.
Yeah. What's funny is there was, I think, one 3DS game that I bought digitally years ago because I saw reviews that were like, this is like an indie gem, you gotta play this, this is awesome. It was like this kind of like a tabletop-ish RPG called Crimson Shroud. I played the first level, seemed kind of cool, never touched it again.
That's funny.
Yeah,
Um,
so that's my illustrious career in downloading 3DS eShop games.
yeah, I for sure in like the next few months, I'm buying so many Wii U games, like
Mm,
tons of DS games and all the Game Boy Advance games, and just tons of actual Wii U games because they're so hard to find physically nowadays. So
mm,
I actually have to get the digital version of like Xenoblade Chronicles X because the physical version is just impossible to find
right?
unless you want to like pay extreme amounts of money. But
Yeah.
yeah, so I just think this is really lame. I feel like these companies are literally billion-dollar companies. Like, they can afford to keep up the eShop on the Wii U. And, like,
Yeah.
Nintendo's
Yeah.
especially weird about it because I remember, like, when Donkey Kong for Switch came out, they took it down on Wii U, and then they decided to put it back up later on. It's like, Nintendo, do you really think you're gonna lose that much money if Donkey Kong on Wii U that nobody owns is cheaper than the Switch version? Like,
Right?
nobody's buying it on Wii U.
I
Like,
forgot all about that.
is
Yeah.
and like another thing, like I would love if Nintendo or Sony, they're like, hey, we're shutting down these storefronts.
Mm.
Guess what? Everything is now 90% off. Go buy anything you ever wanted for hella cheap. And then you could just like that would be amazing. That's like the dream, you know? But they
Mhm.
won't do it. There's because they know like people who want it are gonna end up spending the money to get it. Like
Yeah,
because like
that's
with the
true.
PS3 stuff, I put so much stuff in my PS3 cart because I was gonna buy it all, and then they like
I remember
reversed their
that.
thing, and I was like, okay, I guess I don't have to buy them. Like immediately, I can just buy them throughout the months, and
Mm.
yeah, like I get so sad like thinking about because for PS3 they brought back tons of PS1 games that definitely aren't gonna be on future platforms, like
Yeah,
old
and they're
Star
on
Wars
Vita
games.
too.
Yeah,
Oh, a lot
exactly.
of them are
Like,
on Vita. Yeah, I loaded up my Vita with like PS1 RPGs that I hadn't played and some
and they're
stuff that I
never
had
coming
played.
back.
Yeah.
So many of them are never coming back in any official capacity, and that sucks. But
Yeah.
yeah, pirate's gonna pirate though.
Yeah.
It
Like,
was
I mean,
it,
yeah,
wa-
they're the savior.
it was kind of funny to me, and this is going to be me showing my PlayStation fanboyism, if you can call it that. but but when Sony announced that they were shutting down the store for PS3 and Vita, like what last year, the internet fucking melted down, and we're so mad at them. Then last week, Nintendo announces they're essentially doing the same thing for the Wii U and the 3DS, and it's like crickets. No one said a thing about it until just recently. And now people are kind of up in arms. But you know what I mean? Like
I
they,
think
they
people were
kind of
pretty
get more of it.
mad about Nintendo.
Mm,
It's
yeah.
I'm starting to hear more now. But like the initial when it was initially like announced, I hardly heard anyone like there was no backlash, and it wasn't even really all that much talked about. But it's just like I guess it's just one of those things that were like Nintendo just like gets a pass on things where other companies don't. You know what I mean?
Mm.
It kind of like PlayStation gets crap for like selling a game for $70, and then Nintendo will sell a game that's like a re-release of the exact same game for a full price and no one even cares. But just one of those things. I don't know. But I mean, I'm kind of two minds with this whole thing. Like, first of all, don't get me wrong, this sucks. It sucks that like some of these companies just don't care enough about their legacy. And like we've talked about ad nauseum, how much can it really cost these companies to just leave the stores open? Like, how much can it really cost them?
Hmm.
Like, there's no way it hurts their bottom line to just leave the option open for people. Like, all you're doing is leaving the door open for people to keep giving you money. Like, how is
Right.
that hurting you as a company, right? But my thing is like, it to me as a gamer, it doesn't affect me as much as it does you, Brett, and it sounds like you, John.
Mm.
Um, I feel like my time is already so spread thin between like games that I play now anyway, that anything that I don't already own, I'm probably not going to go back and buy anyways. So to me, it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily hurt me, but I feel for the people that this does affect and that do care about this. So that part
Yeah.
of it really does suck.
Yeah, yeah, I fully support that. Actually, I'm basically where you are on this because I have a pretty, yeah, I'm staring at it right now. Like I have a pretty sizable 3DS collection already, and like all the Wii U games I want, I bought when they came out. So like
Yeah.
for me personally, like I can just be like, okay, see you guys to the games that are going away. But I know they're, I'm a special case because like I just said to you, Brett, I did go and buy like a bazillion PS1 games for my Vita.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that there's plenty of people in that same situation for 3DS, and I do respect that. Yeah.
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 It's more of like a it's kind of like a sad thing, almost like a nostalgia. Like right, like
Mm.
like the thought of not being able to open up the PS3 store again. like just from a nostalgia factor, it's sad, man. Like that was such an
Mm,
important part of my life, and like the Wii U store was such an important part of so many people's lives. Like knowing that that's not going to exist anymore, it sucks. And
yeah.
for as many positives as there are with a digital future, I would say this is like one of the very few flat out negatives
Mm.
of almost everything going digital now. Like um this
Yeah.
it sucks. I can't think of anything that is positive about this, and it's still weird.
Yeah.
I don't understand it.
Yeah, like
But
with physical games too. I mean, the prices are getting insane as well. So it's not
Yeah.
like
yeah.
no matter what, it sucks. The digital games are leaving. The physical games are like $100 a
Right.
pop. Like it's
Right.
Well,
ridiculous,
I just wrote an article this weekend at the Escapist talking about how all of the old games are like really starting to balloon in value.
dude.
And
yeah,
it
I read that
happened
article.
it I thank you. It started with COVID. If
Hmm.
you look at the available data between March and May 2020, basically everything saw a spike in their value. Even things like Super Mario World, which are like still, dirt cheap and easily accessible, it's worth more now since COVID. And
Yeah,
the prices have fluctuated in places since then, but most of these games have not returned to these pre-COVID levels. Like this is just the new normal. Like all of a sudden the nerds that were bored at home were like, "Wait a minute, I remember this thing I love." And that happened like a million times over, and now everything's worth more.
Yeah.
yeah. It's so crazy. Like if I could just go back in time and tell myself 5 years ago, Brett, all of those $2 GameStop games you see right there, they're all gonna be $90 in
Oh
the
my
future.
god. So,
Just
like, seriously.
go grab Captain America on PS3, and then you'll just be able to play it and sell it for $200. Like, come on,
Yeah,
like
Right.
just like John wrote in his article, even like loose copies of these games are like way more than they should be. Like it's
Yeah.
insane. And so if you have a game that's in its packaging, like sealed in mint condition, which is probably pretty rare, let's be honest. Why are
Mm,
you
mm.
buying a game 20 years ago and then not opening it? But you know, if you do happen to have a copy of something that's like still in its original packaging, like it's insane right now.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it's kind of funny because during all this chaos, I've gotten really lucky with consoles. My son's old teacher was cleaning out her attic and gave me the original Game Boy, an N64, and an NES, all
That's so
completely for
cool.
Wow.
free,
That's so cool.
and a ton of games for the NES, like tons, and then actually a
Wow.
pretty decent amount for Game Boy as well. And then just recently, and I actually just hooked it up, and it still works. And I'm pretty happy about it. My sister found an old GameCube while she was moving, and now I have a working GameCube because I had to sell it like a long time ago.
I'll
Um,
send you my address after the podcast.
so I got lucky in that sense, but when it comes to actual games, there's not that many. And with all these digital storefronts closing down, I'm still just so
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny between the eShop closure and Majora's Mask coming to Switch Online, those two things together were somehow the catalyst to finally make me go buy Majora's Mask on the 3DS off of eBay. Because I didn't you can
Nice.
still buy it new, but it's the version that's like kind of like a greatest hits version. And I wanted the
Mhm.
original because I'm stubborn. So I eBayed
Yeah.
it for like, I don't know, 30, I forget, $35 or something, $45. Yeah. So
Yeah,
I'll have
the
Majora.
3DS version of Majora's Mask, they made so many weird changes that, and like it sucks because the graphical overhaul is amazing. I
Mm,
love it. But they changed like such random things and made the game worse overall. So it's like when I go to play that
really?
game, I don't even know which one to play anymore because like one
Oh,
looks way
really?
better, but one plays way better.
Okay. I
Didn't you
just
tell
hate
me
games
that?
with time limits. So,
Me too.
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
know.
Yeah. Brett, didn't you tell me that the 3DS version of Ocarina of Time
that's
was
the
like
one.
the best version of that game too?
That's the one. Yeah, definitely play that, Brett.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Brett, you
I
have to get a
I did buy
3DS
that
so you
one. That
can
was
play
good.
that.
I know.
Oh, you don't have a 3DS?
I don't know.
Uh,
I owned it, and like I said, like I have been a massive gamer my entire life, but I never owned a 3DS. I owned a DS, but I never owned a
mm,
3DS, and I never owned a Wii U either. So like this is something that doesn't affect me. Just kind of like you said, I'm not
sure.
going to be one of those people that's like up in arms because
Yeah,
it doesn't directly affect me because I don't own those consoles anyways.
yeah,
But yeah, it sucks.
yeah. We're in agreement.
Yeah, that's pretty much the final agreement, is that shutting down digital stores totally sucks for
Yeah.
or just
Lo-
gaming in
Losing
general.
things forever sucks.
Yeah, exactly. Like we're
Yep.
never gonna lose. I was going to make the example, like, we're never gonna lose Daredevil season 1, but then I remembered that we actually are losing that soon.
But it's going to be moving though. It's not like it's
It'll
going to
be
be gone,
moved
right?
somewhere, I'm sure, like,
Yeah, yeah.
soon, but I'm not sure how soon. But I just thought that was funny. That was the first thing that came to mind, and it's actually leaving soon. But yeah, we're never gonna lose like classic movies like Home Alone, but we are gonna lose like classic PS1 Star Wars games that
Yeah.
are on
Right.
PS3 right now that aren't anywhere
Yep.
else. So
Yep.
yeah, so
Yeah.
that sucks.
Indeed. What else
Now-
we got on the agenda?
Now, actually, I remember I originally did make a topic list, and one of those topics was Majora's Mask is coming to Switch, and it just got me thinking that, man, Nintendo is just milking, like, releasing these games. Like, are they gonna do like one game every month or two? Like, what?
Apparently, yeah, literally once a month. Yeah.
That's crazy. Like,
Yeah.
I will
And it-
say though, I was originally, like, after I bought a Nintendo Switch Online, I was thinking probably it wasn't worth it. I paid $80, split it with Brett, so I paid 40. He paid 40, and
Wait, the
And I was like,
expansion pack?
yeah,
Or
the
the
expansion
family?
pack.
Okay, okay.
So I was like, I don't know, was this worth it really? But then the Animal Crossing thing happened, and then now we know that Mario Kart, the expansion, is going to be on that as well. So
That
I'm like,
is
okay,
big.
I'm actually getting some value out of this. It's actually
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah. The even though I have Mario Kart on the Wii U and I never bought the Switch version because I don't play multiplayer that often, so it just doesn't really behoove me to buy this game twice when I'm not playing it with
Yeah.
other people anyway. But like even I'm like dazzled by that DLC. Like
Yeah.
that is
No, that's
so
pretty
much
amazing.
new content. Like
Well,
yeah.
that's the thing. I wish it was all new tracks, but apparently it's going to be all classic tracks.
It's going to be
Yeah,
like remakes of
remastered.
classic tracks.
Yeah.
But there are some tracks in there that are in the iPhone game, so those are basically like new for
New,
me.
yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So none of the tracks are new, or was it just some
I
of
don't
them?
think so.
None of them are new.
wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
I
they're
think it's like
all new
48
versions of those.
48
Yeah.
classic tracks.
So I think it's doubling the total track list.
Huh.
At this point, just do this expansion and then do another one of all new tracks. Like,
Yeah.
I honestly don't think they really need to make a Mario Kart 9. Like,
Mm.
we've already got gliding and underwater and then
Mm.
the hovering. Like what else can they really do with Mario Kart? Add some
And
new
it looks
levels.
pretty enough.
Yeah.
Like it's
Definitely.
already a beautiful game. It doesn't necessarily need like a graphical overhaul or anything.
That's true. But I'll just point out that Brett Medlock is saying that Mario Kart should become a live service game, and we need to tell everyone on the internet.
That's, dude, I honestly think like that would be cool. Like, we would constantly get new content, and it would be even more cool is if you're subbed to Nintendo's stupid $80 expansion pack, you get all this stuff for free on the service.
Headline: Brett Medlock thinks that Mario Kart should become Marvel's Avengers.
No,
Headlock condones live service.
hey, there's nothing wrong with live service, but it does
If it's
ruin
done
some
right.
games.
If it's done
Yeah.
right.
Yeah,
I
if it's
agree.
done
Like
right.
it can be apparently this new Assassin's Creed game that's going to be live service, Assassin's Creed Infinity. Like
Yeah,
to
but
me,
did you
that
hear?
that makes me just furious to think that that's turned into a live service game. Like
Really?
it literally makes me sick thinking about it. But
Really?
if they pull it off right, it might end up being okay. Like for example, like the new Dawn of Ragnarok DLC that's coming out next month. It's going to be like a 40-hour game.
Yeah, I
and
mean, it's
so-
just like a
so-
new game, basically. It's not
Exactly. So if that's kind of where they're going with it, is like every expansion to Infinity is like a game within a game, then that's fine, you know.
Mm.
But
yeah,
we'll see
my
how they.
thing. Well, first off, before I get into that, Brett, I don't think we ever talked about this. Did you see? I think it was either leaked or heavily rumored that an expansion for one of the games is actually going to be turned into its
It's
own
going to be turned.
full game.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah. So an expansion of
Before
Valhalla
Infinity.
that was before Infinity that was originally planned on just being a DLC expansion. They're now overhauling it and making it at the next entry into the Assassin's Creed before Infinity. So that's kind of interesting. That it was originally just supposed to be like an expansion of Valhalla, and I guess it has one of the characters from Valhalla. I can't remember what character it is. It's not it's not Eivor who is the protagonist in Valhalla now. But it is a character within Valhalla, and he's going to be the protagonist in the game. So kind of interesting. We'll see
Yeah.
how that goes.
My thing is if they do this Assassin's Creed live service thing, the live service aspect should actually take place inside of Abstergo. Is that what it was called? Where
Abstergo? Yeah.
Abstergo or something like that, where you play as a modern day person, and as each expansion comes out, you can hop into different like universes,
to a different time period.
Because they can't do a live service Assassin's Creed game and make it all in the same timeline. Like,
exactly.
Like it has to be like one's in Japan, one's in England or something. I don't know, and like. So they just need to keep it mixing it up, or like otherwise it's going to get super stale if they just do it all in one setting and stuff.
And that's exactly what I meant when I was saying like how annoyed I was that they're doing this. Is if they do what you just mentioned, that's fine. But if they do like this live service thing and every expansion's in that same time period, then like that just doesn't make any sense. But if every expansion within Assassin's Creed Infinity is like a new time period and like a new location, and one of them's in Greece and then the other one's in Japan and one of them's in Egypt, that kind of thing, then that's
all
cool.
Different times too,
all different times, all different parts of the world. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'd be on board with that.
They could really play with it too, and like turn it on its head. Like maybe we get an Assassin's Creed game that is a modern Watch Dogs type game in one of the expansions. Like I don't know. I think that could be pretty cool. Or maybe like a 1980s Assassin's Creed game. Like that would be amazing.
It really would. It really would. I've been thinking about that too. Like they haven't played around with that in like any even remotely modern setting, which I think would be kind of cool for like one of the games to make it like not necessarily modern, but like somewhat modern. I think like the one where you're in like the Victoria, like the Victorian London one. It was that
Syndicate.
I think of the name. Syndicate. That was probably, I'm thinking, the most modern of all of them, and that game was great.
Wasn't there the Assassin's Creed 3? Was that World War I or something like that? Can't remember.
Yeah, might have been.
Assassin's Creed 3 was like the one that took place like you're the Native American.
Yeah, that I remember.
Guy.
No, I've never played the series, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyway, one thing we forgot to talk about, and this is sort of related to Nintendo, because Microsoft recently said that with the Activision games, they really want to explore Nintendo's consoles. So we might be seeing more of Activision games on Nintendo Switch, or maybe future Switch hardware if it's more powerful. So that means games like Call of Duty, and what does Activision do that isn't on Switch? Actually, they support the Switch pretty well, actually.
Yeah, fairly. I mean, like we got the Crash stuff, we got Spyro, we got Diablo. Obviously we don't have Diablo
Tony Hawk.
4. Yeah, we got Tony Hawk. Yeah, like it
seemed like he was implying Call of Duty.
Yeah. Well, yeah, probably. Yeah.
So Call of Duty might be coming to Switch, and the rumor is actually it's pretty much confirmed now. Jason Schreier did it. He says that Call of Duty 2023 is not coming out in 2023. There's no Call of Duty 2023.
Skipping a year.
This will be the first time Call of Duty skips a year
since 2005.
Yeah,
2007 or 5.
It'll be 2005. Yeah, it'll be 18 years in a row with the one coming out this year, and 17 in a row, and on that 18th year they'll finally miss year. Like that's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
and not to keep going back to the Assassin's Creed thing, but for me, I love this because I liked the old Assassin's Creed games, and I know I don't speak for everyone when I say this, but I loved when they took that time off and came back with the more modern Assassin's Creed model. Like Origins, Odyssey, and Valhalla are easily, for me, my favorite Assassin's Creed in the entire series. And that wouldn't have happened had they not taken that time off to like really revamp things, overhaul the game, completely change everything within the game, and it almost came back like a different style of game to a certain degree as well. So for me, I love this because I love what happened when they took another game in Assassin's Creed that was an annualized series, took time off, and then came back, and it was amazing. So like I don't know how much they will change this. Apparently, they're saying that there's going to be over 30 changes and upgrades to the current Warzone in just Warzone alone that they have in mind that they're going to be changing. So some pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, and I think all because they're skipping a year with the mainline game. I isn't like you just said, Warzone 2 is a thing, isn't it? Like, isn't it?
Warzone 2 is a thing this year. So this year there's going to be the sequel to Modern Warfare and Warzone
Warzone 2.
2.
Okay, I'm surprised they're not just
Oh, really?
holding one of those. Um, but so in 2023, whenever this game's not supposed to be coming out, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Modern Warfare 3 remastered. We already saw 1 and 2 got full remasters on modern platforms, and the second one actually came out without a multiplayer component. It was just the single player that released. So I wouldn't be surprised if we do see like a remaster of one of the older games during that year, like where they don't have a new one coming out.
I see what you mean. So gotcha. I see what you're
Mhm.
saying. Like just put
Like,
out a straight remaster.
Yeah, I mean, they already did Modern Warfare 1 remastered, and then they did 2, so they might as well just do the third one. And then, well, it might be kind of confusing because they're naming these Call of Duties the same thing. So, like, they're
Yeah.
releasing Modern Warfare 2, but we're remastering Modern Warfare 3. Like, come on,
right?
guys.
Yeah. I'm more just amazed that Activision even made this call to to skip a year, because the Schreier report claims that like Microsoft had nothing to do with this, that this was an actual
Yeah,
Activision
it
decision.
was yeah.
Like, because you like if you think about Activision franchises, like they have a very clear MO of like we're gonna milk something to death until it stops
Yeah.
selling, and then we're throwing it in our closet of skeletons. Like,
Well,
look at
Mhm.
Rock Band, you know, or like
I
look at
think
Tony Hawk
that's
up until the revival, you know.
yeah.
Yep.
I
Yeah.
think that's the problem is apparently Vanguard underperformed financially.
Mhm. Right.
And
It was
well,
still
they
like
didn't
top game of
specify.
the
They
year, but
Yeah.
yeah,
exactly. They didn't
yeah,
specify. They said one of the recent Call of Duties underperformed. So you have to assume that that means it was Vanguard.
yeah,
And they also said that they think people are starting to get Call of Duty fatigue where it's coming out every single year. Um,
right.
I have a theory too of why it may have underperformed. I almost think Warzone is hurting the overall Call of Duty game because Warzone is so addicting to people that they don't care to go back and play the normal multiplayer of the annualized Call of Duty games. Like
Mhm.
I'm different. I enjoy Warzone, but I still like to jump back in and play just the standard team deathmatch once in a while. And it just feels like since Warzone, some of the team death matches it just feel really stale. That's boring. It's like nothing's different. The maps aren't like interesting, and it almost feels like they just need a complete overhaul of everything and just like get people excited about it again. Like and Warzone, I think it has potentially hurt the overall annual games.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
probably. I mean, like all these studios, like with Sony, their goal is to make like 10 live service games. It's like, guys, there's only so many
That's
people. Like everyone's just gonna be
Yeah.
spread across so many games where like no one's gonna be winning because there's gonna be so many people playing different stuff. Like
Right?
yeah.
I understand like gaming is growing. Like as kids get older, like gaming is just getting more popular. But still,
Mhm.
like Sony with their goal for I think was it 8 or 10 live service games or something like that, or
It might
six
have
or
been 10.
10.
I
10. Like
10.
that's
Yeah,
It's 10.
insane.
yeah.
Like
In 10 in
10.
like a 5 year period. It's like, what are you doing? Go
How?
make
Like
God of War. Don't make a fucking live service game. Go make Horizon 3. Go, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
focus on the stuff that you're amazing at. Don't make live service crap.
like one or
And it
two is
depends too, because
fine, but
Yeah.
right.
10?
But
Like,
the
it was
thing
a
is we
long
don't
road
know
to
what
making
they
Destiny.
are yet. We don't
Yeah.
know what they
Yeah.
are yet either. Like
Yeah.
it very well could be just like um add-ons to existing games. Like I have to imagine Factions, The Last of Us 2
Mhm.
Yes,
Factions is going to be
Sure.
one of the
definitely.
live service games they're
Yeah.
referring to.
It
So
is
if it was
insane
like
that that doesn't exist yet.
I know, I was just thinking about that the other day. Like
Yeah.
originally that was supposed to come out with the game and then they
Yeah.
just kind of were like,
Mhm.
okay, we're going to hold off on that and just get the game out to you and then that will come later.
Yeah, and that was
Um
years ago now.
yeah,
I
it's been a
mean,
year and a half almost.
Uh,
my hope with Factions and, Colin Moriarty, he's good friends with Neil Druckmann, so he's been saying this is what he wants, but I have a feeling he knows some stuff, so,
mhm.
he's been saying that he hopes that The Last of Us Factions somehow becomes, like, one of the first full-blown multiplayer games like how Factions was before, but somehow includes a storyline within the multiplayer. Like,
Mm.
you have like a faction like of people in your home
Yeah.
base or whatever, and there's like stories happening like in between matches and stuff, and your performance out on the field will decide like the death of people in your group and stuff. And I think that could
They
be
kind
really
of
cool.
did that.
Eh,
They kind of did that with the first one too. But if
Yeah,
they
they
could like
did, just
totally
with no
flesh that
story.
out,
Yeah.
yeah, if
Yeah.
they could like flesh that out and make it more story based and like character driven, that'd be cool.
When I
Yeah,
finished the
and
second game, I thought that it would be if they were to make a third one, and frankly, I don't care if they do or not, but
They
if they
will.
were to make a third, yeah. I thought it'd be cool to just like make it like about Abby like doing like a base building game,
Don't
like
tell Brett that.
Abby like rebuilding
Abby, please.
Abby like rebuilding like the group that she found at the end of the second game. Like if they want to just make that like a actual plot for a faction spin-off, like that works for me. Because that would
Oh,
fit.
for a
Brett.
faction spinoff, that'd be fine.
Oh, for factions.
But,
Okay, yeah, yeah. I thought you meant for
but if we
The
do
Last of
get,
Us 3.
No, I
well,
did.
he did mean
But
that.
based off of what Brett just described about potentially applying a story to
Oh,
factions,
gotcha.
like
Gotcha.
that would fit perfectly by coincidence. So I'm down.
Yeah,
Brett wants
I
Abby to
think.
die in a fire.
Oh no, I didn't know. I don't. I just don't want a story about her. Like I don't care about her. But
It's
We
fair.
had our
I would.
I mean,
story. Yeah.
after this
Done with
game, I
it.
barely care about anybody. It was such a miserable
Dude,
game.
I hated that story. I hated it.
John, are
I
you in Brett's camp with this that you hated it too? Am I alone in my in loving this game?
I mean, I in my head I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. Like I thought it was a very, very good video game. I thought it was terribly paced, like terribly paced. But
yeah,
I
Uncharted 4
I
wasn't
didn't have
paced
a
great
problem with
either.
Joel though, actually. I really didn't.
So for the people that haven't played it yet, we won't just like completely spoil the biggest thing that happens in like the entire Last of Us series up to this point. But that part aside, it was just so damn good. Like top-notch action, top-notch voice acting, like the character
Dude,
models, the the facial animations, like everything was tens across the board. But there was that one thing that happened that was like a slap in the face to people that loved the series. And it's
well, no, it
yeah.
wasn't that one thing. I think it was that thing plus the
But
entire
that kind
rest
of
of the story.
but then that
I,
like spiraled everything out after that happened.
it's
Like
just
the rest of the story was a result of that thing that happened. So
Yeah.
yeah. I just really hope with The Last of Us 3 it's a prequel and we find out what Joel did
yes,
during those 20 years
that's
of that 20-year gap, because
me and Brett
that's
have
more
been
interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
me and Brett have talked about that. Like, if they did a prequel and you go back to where you were Joel again, and you get
Mhm.
to find out, like, he had like some crazy experiences in that
Mhm.
gap. You know what I'm saying? Like, so there
Mhm.
could be a really cool game in just going back to before all that.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can see.
Because where else do you go from here? You know, like
Right.
where
It
Well,
ended on
else do
such
you
a
go from
sad
this
note.
point?
yeah, it's like no, you make another game about sad, depressed people who refuse to move on in life. And
Yeah.
you make it
This
go on
she
for 40 hours.
Yeah, I mean, she has no one else to avenge, and Abby is just like a
Yet.
sad case. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't think there's anything else interesting they could do going forward. Like, if they did a prequel, that would be really cool because, like Brett said, that would be
I mean,
interesting to see his life
I
prior to The Last of Us One.
Mm.
I would love if the third game did two stories at the same time. One's a prequel with Joel during the whole experience. The next one is Ellie's journey after The Last of Us 2, but in
Mhm.
some way they are connected. I don't know what it's going to be, how,
Okay,
but something that happened with Joel in the past is somehow
Gotcha.
happening
I
with
see.
Ellie right
Yeah.
now.
She
Okay.
ends up
Like
meeting
a
somebody that like
character
was
or
important. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
that'd be cool.
Yeah, that's a cool idea. I after the second game, I just hate Ellie now. So like I don't
Yeah.
ever want to see her again.
I mean, I don't hate her, but I'm just so like sad about how that story went. Like I was just thinking like what, like the whole time I was playing, I was like trying to tell myself this is amazing, right? Like this is good. And I was really in denial for a while. And then I'm like I just
Yeah.
did not care about Abby's whole entire story, and that was like 50% of the game.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, it
it,
was like forcing you to like fall in love with this character that you're like, fuck her. I don't even want to see her, let alone control her. You know what I mean?
exactly,
Like,
like I didn't care. Like come on, guys.
I think because of how annoyed with the game I was, like story wise, because again, I did like the game. Like, I think that's how I ended up on like Team Abby in the end. I was just like, all right, screw it. If everything sucks anyway, fine. I picked this chick. Like, you know, like,
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah.
it would. Yeah, I mean, I won't keep talking about it. I
Yeah,
could
it's
I
all
could
right.
go on with this forever too.
Yeah.
But
We
are
could
you
do an
guys ready to
entire
call it a night?
podcast on just this topic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Spot
Do
rant
you
where
guys?
we complain
But
about the biggest games of 2 or 3 years ago.
before we end, do you guys think that Naughty Dog goes right into wrapping up this trilogy, or do you think they take a break? Because between The Last of Us 1 and 2, they did Uncharted 4 and Lost Legacy. So do you think they just go, okay, we're just going to wrap up the trilogy, be done with it, so then we can move on to other projects? Or do you think they like, and if they do something else, it would have to be a new IP, right? Because they already said they're basically done with Uncharted.
Yeah, they're
Or
probably
what do you
done
guys
with
think they do?
Uncharted.
Hmm.
I mean, I feel like The Last of Us 3 would be the obvious answer, but
Yeah. And apparently the first
they
one's getting
had
remade.
yeah, the first one's getting
Oh
a remake,
yeah.
so that I don't
Uh,
that makes me think I don't know, maybe they're not going to touch The Last of Us for a while because
Y-
that'll fill the gap for the TV show
that's
and
true.
whatnot.
Right.
That's true. It might be
Right.
like
Um,
too much
Yeah.
overkill. Last of Us.
if we
And
yeah,
I
like
I
if we get
think
The Last of
Druckmann
Us 3, the remake,
yeah.
this TV show,
Yeah. I think Druckmann said like I don't know, like a year ago or a year and a half ago that like he had like a treatment for a third game, but it wasn't something that was actually in production at that time. It
Yeah,
was just
for
sort of like
sure.
yeah.
an idea. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
It
I
would
don't know,
be
like
years and years away. So I
yeah.
almost think that maybe they just kind of break it up with like a new IP, which honestly, that as much as I love The Last of Us, like a new IP idea almost is more exciting to me because
Mm.
everything Naughty Dog has done for what 15 years has been gold. And I know you guys didn't love The Last of Us 2 the way I did, but they're masters at their craft. So I would
Mm.
be really excited to see what they have to do next.
Yeah, I mean they've never
Yeah,
made a
here's
franchise that bombed, right? They went
Right.
from Crash Bandicoot to Jack and Daxter to
Right.
Uncharted to The Last of Us.
Yep.
now guys, I just want to say what's showing on the screen right now is someone's guts spilling out after being hung,
Right.
and
So,
Sony
so
censored a butt in DMC5.
and just like he just mentioned, Naughty Dog went from like cutesy games like Crash collecting apples to a game where someone's getting their guts sliced open while they're being hung from a pole. Like
I mean, that's
what a
that's one
transition
final
in what
thing.
who they are too.
That's one final thing I could rant about is Sony censored that game.
Yeah.
Martha is dead because you're
Let's
cutting off someone's face. Like
we
Kratos
mu-
hasn't torn open someone's skull before, like inches
right.
from the camera. Like, come on.
Yeah. there's
Yeah.
there's been moments where Kratos has literally taken his blade, is stabbed it into a monster's eye, and then ripped that eye out of its head. But seeing someone cut skin off of someone's face is too much. You know what I
Slowly
mean?
cutting it off, like meticulously, slowly cutting a face off is worse than pulling out someone's spine, like in Mortal Kombat. Like, it just really, I don't understand.
it,
Like,
it makes me wonder what the reasoning was for editing that part out because like you said there's been many
The
more
Last of Us 2
gruesome
is
things in games.
crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
There's a
I mean,
lot of
just
torture in that game.
just what happens to Joel is more gruesome. Like he's getting just bashed in with like over and over and over, and you see it up close. Like to me, that was almost more gruesome than what they took out of that game. So it's weird. That was one of the more bizarre stories of the year for sure.
Mm.
And I think they went and changed their mind, but they originally censored a girl's butt in Devil May Cry 5. And in freaking Ghost of
Really?
Tsushima, you see Jin's butt every time he goes and sits in a tub.
In The Witcher 3, you see the girls topless while he's banging them. You
Everything.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So how
I
is
don't
that too
understand.
much?
That is like the most random thing. Like, we're going to censor this butt that we see hundreds of butts in tons of games, but this one needs to
Yeah.
be censored.
Yeah.
That butt was just too nice.
It was
I
just
guess it
too
was.
much. Yep.
Hmm.
Yeah, but
Huh.
Eric, are you on the mic? Because people probably think we're talking to no one. Okay,
Okay.
cool. I'm not sure what you said though, but I don't know. I just think it's weird.
In conclusion, okay.
But that's pretty much it for the show, guys. We went a little longer than I thought, and I think this has been a good episode. We had a lot of ranting, a lot of passionate talking, and this is the final Nintendo enthusiast stream, unless something happens in the distant future where suddenly someone's on this channel again. This is it, the final stream ever. I have a final goodbye video coming later this week that I will be posting. And yeah, thank you all so much for the people who are tuning in now and the people who will tune in the future. Brett just left the call for some reason,
Bye,
and
Brett.
yeah, that
But
was that's how Brett feels about this whole situation.
yeah, very
Um,
upset. But to
but yeah,
reiterate, the show will be back.
yes, to reiterate, the show is coming next week, same time on the Destructoid channel. I posted a comment in the live chat with the link to go subscribe to that channel. And the audio feed will still be the exact same on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. John, any final words for the last stream on Nintendo Enthusiast?
Thanks so much for hanging out with us, guys, for watching all of Brett's videos, for reading all our content for years on end. We've gone on some weird journeys and whatnot, and it doesn't have to be completely over. Brett's at Destructoid. I'm at the Escapist. We're gonna keep having our weird adventures, just in a slightly different change of scenery. But again, thank you so much for hanging out with us, and I hope you'll continue hanging out with us, just at a very slightly different place.
Exactly. We'll see you next week on Destructoid. This is Brett Medlock signing off. Goodbye.
See you guys.